"Mom, I'm cold." Little Leo's weak voice echoed in the icy train car. Helena felt a pang in her chest, tears freezing in the corners of her eyes as the wind howled outside, shaking the old metal structure. That charity from her boss, a rusty train car amidst industrial waste, was all they had left. But as she tried to close a gap, her hand touched something strange on the wall, lined with moldy books. And what she discovered inside would forever change her family's destiny, revealing a secret that time had tried to erase. Helena's fingertips brushed against a loose piece of wood, disguised beneath dust and time. It wasn't a common crack. It looked like a panel, perhaps a secret door. With a weary sigh, but driven by a sudden curiosity, she pushed. The wood yielded with a soft creak, revealing a dark and unexpected niche. Her heart skipped a beat, a mix of apprehension and a glimmer of hope she hadn't felt in a long time. The faint light from the small lantern she carried barely reached the bottom, but it was enough to glimpse the contents. There, carefully stacked, was more than just moldy books. They were leather-bound diaries, thick and yellowed by time, and some paper scrolls tied with faded ribbons. The smell of old paper and mold was strong, but different from the scent of abandonment that permeated the rest of the car. With trembling hands, Helena reached for the first diary. The cover was dark, almost black leather, and the pages, when opened, revealed elegant handwriting, difficult to decipher in the dim light. Her eyes scanned the initial lines, words that spoke of grand dreams, audacious inventions, and an overwhelming passion for knowledge. She felt an immediate connection with the soul behind those words, a brilliant mind that seemed to have inhabited that very space, perhaps even built it. Leo coughed again, a dry sound that brought her back to the harsh reality. Hunger and cold were constant enemies, and little Sophia, her youngest daughter, slept curled up under a thin blanket, her face pale and her lips purplish. Helena needed firewood, food, an urgent miracle. Could this be a miracle? She picked up one of the scrolls. Carefully unrolling it, she saw intricate drawings, detailed schematics of machines that seemed to come from a distant future. They weren't mere scribbles, they were designs with precise annotations and complex calculations that defied her understanding. Helena's mind, though exhausted, began to connect the dots. Who was the author of these treasures, and why were they hidden there in that forgotten train car, as if they were something forbidden? A pang of suspicion struck her. Her late husband, Marcos, always spoke of an old inventor who had been wronged by the cruel Mr. Almeida, the same man who had mercilessly evicted them. Marcos admired the genius of that man, whose story seemed to have been erased from the annals of memory. Could it be that these diaries and designs belonged to him? The idea ignited a small flame of hope in her chest, a warm sensation that contrasted with the biting cold of the train car, promising a warmth that went beyond a fireplace. She carefully put the items away, determined to explore them further when the children were safe and sound asleep. The immediate well-being of Leo and Sophia was the priority. But the discovery of that secret compartment had already changed something within her. It wasn't just a piece of junk, it was a treasure chest of secrets, a link to a forgotten past, and perhaps the key to a future she had never dared to dream of. Helena felt the weight of responsibility, but also a renewed strength, a determination that surprised her. Those diaries and designs weren't just paper and ink. They were the promise of justice, the chance to rebuild, to prove that goodness and truth always find their way, even in the dustiest corners of the world. She hugged her children tighter, the warmth of that small secret warming her heart and feeding her soul. Helena held Leo and Sophia close, the warmth of their small bodies a fragile comfort against the bone-chilling cold. The discovery in the secret compartment was a flame, but it wasn't warm enough to stop her children shivering. "Come on, my loves," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion and exhaustion. "Mommy will figure something out." Her gaze swept over the train car, now no longer just a miserable refuge, but a place with history, with promises. But promises didn't fill bellies or cure colds. With the morning sun peeking through the cracks, Helena began to act. She needed firewood. She left the children nestled under the blanket, promising to return soon. Each step out of the train car was a stab to her heart, leaving her children vulnerable. The vacant lot, infested with debris, was a challenge. She searched for dry pieces of wood, fallen branches. Her already cracked fingers ached, but the image of Leo and Sophia's pale faces spurred her on. As she gathered the few twigs, her thoughts returned to the diaries and designs. Who was that man? The forgotten genius Marcos admired so much. The one who, according to her husband, had been robbed and humiliated by Mr. Almeida. A silent rage simmered. If those papers contained proof of the injustice, the discovery was not just for the family, but for Marcos's memory and for the truth. With a meager bundle of firewood in her arms, Helena returned. Leo was awake, his big, frightened eyes fixed on the door. "Mom, you took a long time," he said, his voice weak. Helena knelt, hugging him. "Mommy needed firewood to warm you up." She lit a small makeshift fire in the center of the train car, using an old can as a brazier. The warmth, however faint, brought a sigh of relief. Sophia stirred, coughing softly. The warmth seemed to soothe her. As the smoke rose, Helena picked up one of the diaries. She sat by the fire, using the flickering light to decipher the words. The handwriting, though elegant, was dense, filled with technical terms and philosophical reflections. She didn't understand everything, but the author's passion was palpable. He wrote about the beauty of creation, about how the human mind could shape the world, and about the pain of having his ideas stolen by those who only saw profit. One particular sentence struck her like lightning. "My great work, my legacy, was torn from my hands by an unscrupulous man who appropriated my sweat and my soul." There were no names, but the description was eerily familiar. Mr. Almeida. It was him, Helena was sure, that cruel man who had destroyed the lives of so many, including her beloved Marcos. Her eyes filled with tears, not of sadness but of righteous fury. Those diaries were not just a curiosity. They were a testament, an accusation, the designs, the key to unraveling the theft. Helena felt a surge of adrenaline. It was no longer just about survival, but about justice, about honoring Marcos's memory, who sought the truth. She looked at her children, asleep. They deserved the truth and a dignified future, and Helena would do everything to give them that, armed with the secrets of a forgotten genius. Helena felt the weight of that commitment in her heart, a silent promise to her sleeping children and to Marcos's spirit. The firelight flickered, casting dancing shadows on the metal walls of the train car, and each shadow seemed to whisper ancient secrets. She caressed Sophia's hair, then Leo's, feeling the fever still present, but a little milder thanks to the warmth of the makeshift fire. The exhaustion was immense, but the new flame of purpose kept her from succumbing to sleep. With almost reverent care, Helena picked up another diary, the one with the most worn cover. The pages were thin, almost transparent, and the smell of mold and old paper filled the air. She began to read, this time with sharper attention, looking for clues, names, dates. The author, who identified himself only by the initials A.V. described his journey of invention with contagious passion. He spoke of a revolutionary engine, capable of generating clean and abundant energy, a technology that promised to change the world. His eyes shone in the descriptions, and Helena could almost feel the inventor's emotion in every word. But the joy of discovery soon gave way to bitterness. A.V. Ashwar detailed how his invention had been presented to a soulless investor, someone who had promised support and resources, but who, in reality, planned to steal the patent and the profits. With each line, the description of the investor perfectly matched the figure of Mr. Almeida. His cunning, his thirst for power, his ability to manipulate and destroy. Helena felt a shiver. It wasn't just a theory. It was the truth being unveiled page by page. The diaries were not just a lament. They were a meticulous record. There were mentions of documents, a secret safe, a hiding place for the original plans, and a fortune that should have been his, but had been diverted. He thought he would destroy me, but the truth always finds a way, even if it takes 100 years, A.V. wrote on a page with blurred ink, as if it had been written through tears. Helena felt such a strong wave of empathy that it seemed the inventor was there, beside her, sharing his pain and his hope. She spent the night reading, alternating between reading and watching over her children, replenishing the fire and offering a sip of water. With each new revelation, Helena's determination grew stronger. It was no longer just about surviving in the train car, it was about unearthing an injustice, honoring a legacy, and by extension, that of her own husband, Marcos, who had always championed ethics and truth. Marcos, who probably knew part of this story and had therefore been so relentless with Mr. Almeida. As the sun began to rise, painting the horizon with shades of pink and orange, Helena felt her eyes heavy, but her mind was clearer than ever. She had found the proof. The diaries contained not only the story of the theft, but also clues as to where the original patent documents and the stolen money might be hidden. A.V. had left a coded map, disguised in notes about constellations and nearby geographical landmarks. Helena looked at the map, a simple drawing of stars and strange symbols, and then at her children, who were now sleeping more peacefully. A tear rolled down her face, but it wasn't from sadness. It was from relief, gratitude, and a strength she didn't know she possessed. The train car, once a symbol of her misfortune, now revealed itself as a sanctuary of hope, a beacon in the darkness. She knew the journey would be long and dangerous, but she was no longer alone. She had the truth, Marcos's memory, and the promise of a future for Leo and Sophia. The first step was to decipher that map, and she would do it for them, for all the wronged. With the first light of day filtering through the cracks of the train car, Helena felt an urgent need to act. The map, with its enigmatic symbols, seemed to challenge her. She was neither a scholar of constellations nor a geographer, but the determination in her eyes was stronger than any lack of knowledge. Leo and Sophia were still asleep, their faces more serene, their fever seeming to have subsided a little thanks to the warmth of the fire and their mother's newfound hope. Helena knelt near them, kissing their foreheads, feeling the soft warmth of their skin, a silent promise that everything would be all right. She carefully spread the map over a wooden box, the only flat surface she found. The symbols were complex. A cluster of stars formed what appeared to be an unknown constellation, flanked by small markings resembling terrestrial landmarks. "Marcos, if you were here," she whispered, her voice choked. Her husband, oh, Marcos, he had always been fascinated by old maps and stories of hidden treasures. He spent hours reading about explorers and astronomers, dreaming of adventures. A distant memory surfaced. Marcos had a book, an old atlas he cherished, filled with illustrations of constellations and regional maps. Where would that book be now? With a glimmer of hope, Helena began to rummage through the few belongings she had managed to save from the house before the eviction. Most were in damp, dusty boxes, piled in a corner of the train car. Her fingers explored the boxes, pushing aside old clothes and broken utensils until at the bottom of one, her fingers touched a worn leather cover. It was it, Marcos's atlas, a treasure in itself, now more valuable than ever. With the atlas in hand, Helena returned to AV's map. The yellowed pages of Marcos's book revealed familiar constellations, but none matched the diary's drawing exactly. Frustration set in, but she refused to give up. She turned AV's map sideways, then upside down. Suddenly, one of the terrestrial symbols, a small triangle with a curved line, seemed familiar. It wasn't a constellation, but a geographical reference. Marcos had spoken of an old, abandoned water tower near a winding river which he used to visit in his childhood. The triangle and the curved line. Could they be the tower and the river? Helena felt a shiver. AV hadn't used the constellations to indicate a point in the sky, but rather as a code for the name of a place, or perhaps for the direction from a reference point. The genius had been even more cunning than she imagined. The map wasn't about stars, but about the earth, disguised under a celestial cloak. A new wave of energy coursed through Helena. She picked up a piece of charcoal from the brazier and carefully began to sketch what she imagined to be the surroundings of the water tower and the river. Her eyes shone with a mix of weariness and triumph. The first step was taken. She wasn't just deciphering a map, she was unraveling the mind of a genius and, at the same time, rediscovering a piece of her own Marcos. Justice was one step closer to being revealed, and Helena felt that with each deciphered symbol, her husband's memory became more vivid, more present, guiding her on her journey. Helena traced the lines with charcoal, each stroke a link between the past and the future. The water tower and the winding river began to take shape on the paper, a rudimentary sketch, but full of meaning. Marcos's atlas lay open beside her, its yellowed pages whispering stories of other times. She leafed through it, looking for any detail that could complement AV's map. Marcos loved those maps, the legends, the small symbols that told so much. "You always knew, didn't you, my love?" she murmured. Feeling his presence so strongly, she could almost hear his soft laugh. Suddenly, a small detail on AV's map caught her attention. Beyond the triangle and the curved line, there was a series of tiny, almost imperceptible dots arranged in a semicircle. In Marcos's atlas, on the page showing the region of the old water tower, there was a small, handwritten note in the margin. In her husband's unmistakable handwriting, the 7 Oaks, guardians of time. 7 Oaks? Helena frowned. Those dots on AV's map were 7, and they formed a semicircle as if encircling something. A wave of excitement coursed through Helena. The oaks. She remembered Marcos talking about a grove of ancient oaks near the tower, a place he considered magical in his childhood. Could that be the hiding place? AV had been brilliant in his camouflage, using nature and local memories as keys to his enigma. The connection between the inventor's map and Marcos's notes was undeniable, a delicate web of clues unfolding before her eyes. Leo stirred, a soft whimper escaping his lips. Helena quickly put away the maps and the atlas, turning her attention to her children. Leo opened his eyes, blinking sleepily. "Mom, I'm hungry," he said, his voice still a little weak. Helena's heart tightened. The discovery was wonderful, but the reality of hunger and cold persisted. She only had a piece of stale bread and some water, but she offered it with a smile, trying to convey a hope she herself was only just beginning to feel. "Soon, my love, we'll have something better. Mommy is working on something very important for us," she promised, stroking her son's hair. Leo, with the innocence of his age, simply nodded, trusting his mother completely. Sophia also woke up, her blue eyes wide, seeking the comfort of Helena's gaze. Her mother hugged her, feeling her skin still a little warm. She needed medicine, nutritious food, a real home. The search for the 7 Oaks couldn't wait. But how could she go with sick children? The vacant lot was dangerous, and the distance to the water tower was considerable. Helena felt the weight of responsibility and the fragility of her situation. She couldn't risk her children's health. It was a cruel dilemma, the promise of a future versus the urgent needs of the present. Her eyes fell on the small fire, which burned with the last twigs. The warmth was scarce, but fire always brought a sense of security. She needed more firewood, and perhaps, while looking, she could glimpse the water tower from a distance, trying to confirm her theory without straying too far from the children. It was a risky plan, but with each passing minute, the urgency of unraveling AV and Marcos's secret became more pressing. Justice for her husband and the future of her children depended on it. With a deep sigh, Helena made a decision. She would go, but with the utmost caution, and not before ensuring her children were as safe as possible. The train car, for now, would be the fortress where hope began to blossom. Helena looked at Leo and Sophia, her heart heavy with love and anguish. The promise of the 7 Oaks was a beacon, but her children were her anchor, tethering her to the immediate reality of their needs. With the last piece of bread and a little water, she fed them, trying to maintain a smile, even as her lips trembled. "Mommy will be out for just a little while, my loves. Stay very quiet here, okay?" Leo nodded, his big eyes fixed on her, the understanding of the situation weighing on his small face. Sophia, more fragile, just coughed, snuggling deeper into the blanket. Helena reinforced the cracks in the train car as best she could, using old cloths and pieces of cardboard. The icy wind still found its way in, but the fire, now a pile of embers, offered minimal warmth. She kissed each of their foreheads, feeling Sophia's fever still present. Guilt gnawed at her, but the need to act was greater. She needed more firewood, yes, but she also needed visual confirmation of that map. With her heart in her throat, Helena left the train car. The vacant lot seemed even more hostile under the faint morning light. Each step was cautious, her eyes scanning the landscape for any landmark that might resemble the water tower. She walked through the debris, avoiding puddles and rusty metal pieces. The tower, according to Marcos, wasn't that far, but the view from the train car was limited. She climbed a small mound of earth and rubble, the highest point she found. Her eyes scanned the horizon, looking for a tall, solitary structure. Nothing. Just more debris and the distant silhouette of some trees. Frustration began to set in. Was AV's map just an illusion? Marcos's notes, a distorted memory? As she prepared to descend, a figure appeared at the edge of the vacant lot, coming from a small trail that led to a less desolate area. It was an elderly woman with white hair neatly tied in a bun, carrying a wicker basket. Her eyes, kind and curious, fell on Helena and then on the train car. Helena felt a chill. Could it be someone from Mr. Almeida, a new threat? The old woman approached slowly, a warm smile blossoming on her wrinkled face. "Good morning, my dear. I saw smoke coming from that train car and got worried. There are children in there, aren't there?" Her voice was soft, without any trace of malice. Helena hesitated, suspicion still latent. "Yes, my children. They are sick. Oh, the poor dears. My name is Donna Aurora. I live nearby in the little blue house. I've seen you around here these past few days. Would you like some hot broth? I just made some, and I have some herbal teas that are good for colds." She extended the basket, and the smell of homemade broth reached Helena, making her stomach rumble in protest. Helena's eyes filled with tears. It was an unexpected kindness, a ray of sunshine amidst the darkness. "Donna Aurora, I don't even know how to thank you." "No need to thank me, my dear. We're all neighbors, aren't we? And sick children need care. If you like, I can stay with them for a bit while you sort things out. I have grandchildren their age. I know how it is." Donna Aurora looked at the train car, her eyes understanding. "It seems you have a big task ahead of you." Donna Aurora's offer was a godsend, an answer to her silent prayer. With her children under the care of someone so kind, Helena could focus on her search without constant anguish. The scales of hope tipped heavily towards action. "Donna Aurora, you are an angel." Helena managed to say, her voice choked. I, I need to go somewhere, look for something very important for their future. If you could stay with them for a while, it would be a salvation. Of course, my dear. Go in peace. I'll take care of them as if they were my own, and bring them the broth. It will do them good. Donna Aurora smiled, a smile that conveyed peace and security. Helena felt an enormous weight lifted from her shoulders. That unexpected encounter was not just help, it was a sign, a confirmation that she was not alone, that goodness still existed in the world. With a lighter heart, but still full of urgency, Helena knew that now, more than ever, she needed to find the 7 Oaks. Her children's future depended on it, and Donna Aurora had given her the chance to fight for it. Helena, with a lump of gratitude in her throat, hugged Donna Aurora, feeling the fragility of her own shoulders in the face of such unexpected kindness. I don't know how to thank you. You are saving my life and my children's. Donna Aurora squeezed her hand, her eyes moist. You're welcome, my dear. Go in peace. They'll be safe with me. Helena ran back to the train car, where Leo and Sophia watched her with curious eyes. My loves, Mommy will be out for just a moment, but Donna Aurora, a very good friend, will take care of you. She brought delicious broth. She helped Leo out and then picked up Sophia, gently placing her in Donna Aurora's firm arms. The smell of the warm broth already comforted the children, and the old woman, with maternal tenderness, began to hum a lullaby as she led them to the little blue house. Helena watched them walk away, her heart torn between the urgency of her mission and the desire to stay by her children's side. But the sight of Donna Aurora, with Sophia nestled in her lap and Leo holding her hand, brought a momentary peace. It was the first time in a long time she felt she could breathe. With a lighter mind, Helena took Marcus's atlas and AV's map and began her journey. The sun was already higher, but the air was still biting. She walked with determined steps, avoiding debris and paying attention to the landmarks Marcus had described in his memories. The water tower, she remembered, was beyond a small rise, hidden by a denser cluster of trees. With each step, the image of the 7 Oaks, guardians of time, echoed in her mind. The path was longer and rougher than she had imagined. Helena's old boots sank into the mud in some places, and dry branches scratched her legs. The landscape, once desolate, began to change, giving way to denser vegetation. She climbed the rise, breathless, and then there it was, the imposing silhouette of the old water tower, rusty and forgotten, but unmistakable. A smile of relief and triumph lit up her face. The tower was a silent giant, a witness to past times. Around it, the winding river Marcos had mentioned meandered lazily. Helena consulted AV's map and Marcos's atlas, comparing the details. The triangle and the curved line were there, alive and real. Now the 7 Oaks were missing. She began to circle the tower, her eyes scanning the landscape for the majestic trees. The wind whistled through the branches, almost like a whisper from Marcos guiding her. And then she saw them. In a clearing a little way from the tower, arranged in an almost perfect semicircle, stood 7 ancient oaks, their leafy canopies and thick trunks marked by the ravages of time. They were even more impressive than she had imagined, like silent sentinels guarding a secret. Helena approached, her heart pounding in her chest. She felt a different energy in that place, a mix of reverence and mystery. She touched the rough bark of one of the oaks, feeling the life that pulsed within it. She remembered Marcos's note, "The 7 Oaks, guardians of time." What did they guard? She examined each tree, looking for any sign, any mark that might indicate the next step. Her fingers traced the cracks in the bark, searching for something out of the ordinary. On one of the oaks, the most central and imposing, she noticed a small elevation in the bark, almost imperceptible. As she ran her hand over it, she felt it wasn't natural. Carefully, she began to scrape away the loose bark, revealing a small metal plate almost camouflaged by nature. It was old, oxidized, but with an engraved symbol, a compass with a single star pointing east. Below, the date, 1942, and a single word almost erased by time, hope. Her eyes widened. It wasn't a safe, nor a map, but a clue, a link. The compass, the star, the date, and the word hope, everything seemed to scream a new direction. Helena felt a shiver. A.V. and Marcos had left a trail of breadcrumbs, and each one led her deeper into the web of truth. The plate was firmly attached, but she noticed that the compass star wasn't just a drawing. It was a small protrusion that, when pressed, seemed to have a slight movement. With a mix of apprehension and excitement, Helena pressed the star. A soft click echoed in the quiet clearing. The plate didn't open, but a small compartment, hidden at the base of the oak, revealed itself. Inside, wrapped in an old, damp cloth, was a small silver locket with the initials A.V. engraved and, on the back, the same compass with the star pointing east. Beside the locket, a rolled parchment sealed with ancient wax. Helena picked up the parchment, her hands trembling. The smell of aged paper filled her nostrils. Hope was not just a word. It was the name of a journey, a legacy she was about to unravel. Helena picked up the parchment, her hands trembling, the silver locket clinking softly against the rough bark of the oak. Her heart pounded, a mix of apprehension and an almost unreal hope. The smell of aged paper, with a subtle hint of damp earth, filled her nostrils, an aroma of history and long-kept secrets. With extreme care, she broke the wax seal, which crumbled into small fragments. The parchment, yellowed and fragile, slowly unrolled, revealing elegant and precise handwriting. It wasn't a map, but a letter dated 1942, signed with the initials A.V. To him who finds this legacy, the letter began, A.V.'s voice seeming to resonate in the quiet clearing. Know that truth is a seed that, even buried, always finds the light to sprout. My work, my life, were stolen by unscrupulous hands, and justice, though sometimes slow, never fails to arrive. Helena felt a shiver run down her spine. A.V. had anticipated everything, Mr. Almeida's cruelty, the need to hide the truth for decades. The letter continued, revealing that A.V. had foreseen his partner's greed and betrayal. Before disappearing, he had hidden not only the designs of his revolutionary invention, but also the documents that proved the vast stolen fortune. The locket you now hold is the key, it read. It points not to a place, but to a time. The star in the east is not a cardinal point, but a poetic reminder of dawn, of a new beginning. The year engraved on the plate, 1942, is the date when hope was planted, a beacon for the future. But the true harvest will only come when the sun aligns with the moon at the highest point in the sky. On the day the city celebrates its founding with festivity and joy. Helena reread the sentence, her eyes fixed on the words, her mind working feverishly to unravel the enigma. The sun, aligning with the moon at the highest point in the sky. Could it be a solar eclipse, a rare and grand event, or a more subtle metaphor? And the day the city celebrates its founding? She remembered Marcos, who always enthusiastically participated in the city's festivities, especially the annual fair that celebrated the founding anniversary. The fair. It was in a few weeks, a vibrant event that brought the whole community together. The letter continued, more detailed and direct. On that day, in the heart of the celebration, where past and future meet in harmony, look for the symbol of the phoenix, the mythical bird gloriously reborn from the ashes. There, under the watchful and vigilant gaze of the city's founder statue, you will find what was stolen. The invention, the documents that prove the truth, the treasure that rightfully belongs to you. True wealth, however, is not in the glitter of gold, but in the freedom and justice it can bring to you and yours. These words were a balm to her soul, a powerful confirmation that her struggle, her pain, were not in vain. The phoenix, the founder's statue, the city fair, everything began to click into place in her mind, like pieces of a complex puzzle. Marcos always took her to that fair, and she perfectly remembered the imposing statue of the city's founder in the center of the main square, and an old, ornate fountain with bird sculptures, one of them unmistakably resembling a phoenix with its wings spread in a gesture of ascent. An overwhelming wave of emotion washed over her, making her feel a warmth in her chest. AV had not only hidden a treasure, but had built a bridge of hope across time, a coded message that connected to whoever was worthy of finding it. And Marcos, with his passion for stories and maps, had left the breadcrumbs that led her there, an invisible link between past and present. That was the legacy of both, intertwined in a greater purpose. Helena carefully put away the parchment and the locket, feeling the weight of responsibility and, at the same time, the intoxicating lightness of renewed hope. She needed to return to her children, to Donna Aurora, who awaited them with affection. She needed to plan each step with precision. The fair was approaching, and she had little time to prepare. With each step back to the train car, the image of Leo and Sophia, healthy and smiling, spurred her on, giving her strength, justice for Marcos, a dignified future for her children. AV had given her the tools. Now, it was up to her to use them with wisdom and courage. The journey didn't end there, but a new chapter was opening, clearer, more promising, and with an unwavering purpose. Helena returned to the train car with lighter steps, but her mind was buzzing with revelations. With each step, the image of Leo and Sophia, healthy and smiling, spurred her on, giving her strength. Justice for Marcos, a dignified future for her children. AV had given her the tools. Now, it was up to her to use them with wisdom and courage. The journey didn't end there, but a new chapter was opening, clearer, more promising, and with an unwavering purpose. As she approached Donna Aurora's little blue house, the smell of homemade food enveloped her, and the soft sound of a lullaby made her stop. She peeked through the window and saw Donna Aurora sitting in a rocking chair, Sophia asleep in her lap, while Leo drew on the floor with pieces of charcoal, a peaceful smile on his face. Elena's heart filled with such profound gratitude that it almost choked her. That woman, a stranger just hours before, had offered a refuge of peace amidst her chaos. Helena gently knocked on the door. Donna Aurora looked up, a welcoming smile lighting up her wrinkled face. "Ah, my dear, it's good you're back. Your little ones are well. Sophia is sleeping soundly and Leo ate a full plate of broth. Her fever has already gone down a bit, thank God." She gestured for Helena to come in. Helena entered, her eyes moist. "Donna Aurora, I don't know how to thank you. You are a true angel. I found something." She hesitated, looking at Leo, who was now watching her with curiosity. "Something that can change everything for us." Donna Aurora, with her silent wisdom, simply nodded, understanding the need for discretion. "Come, sit, tell me what you can, and don't worry about secrets. Life has taught me to keep many." She indicated a simple chair beside hers. Helena sat down, her body exhausted, but her soul effervescent. Marcos and an inventor from the past, AV, left a legacy, clues to something very valuable that was stolen. And now, I know where to find the last piece, at the city fair on the founding day. She didn't mention the fortune, the designs, or Mr. Almeida's name, but the urgency in her voice was palpable. Donna Aurora listened attentively, her kind eyes fixed on Helena. The founding fair, It's in 3 weeks, a time of many people and joy, but also a lot of confusion. She paused, thoughtful. You'll need help, my dear, and your children need to be strong for this. Helena nodded, her gaze fixed on Sophia. Yes, they do. That's the most important thing now. And I have almost nothing. No suitable clothes for the fair, no money for anything. The practical reality of her situation tightened her chest again. Donna Aurora smiled, a glint of determination in her eyes. Don't worry about that now. First, let's take care of these little angels' health. I have some homemade remedies and herbs that can help. And food, of course. You also need to eat well. She stood up, taking a blanket to cover Sophia. And about the fair. Well, maybe I can help with a few things. I have some old clothes that might fit and some spare change saved up. It's not much, but it's from the heart. Helena felt a warmth spread in her chest. Donna Aurora's generosity was a balm. Donna Aurora, you've already done too much. I can't accept. Yes, you can. It's what people do for each other, my dear, especially when there's an injustice to be corrected and a future to be built for these children. Donna Aurora touched Helena's hand, a gesture of support and complicity. Now let's think about how to make Leo and Sophia strong for this adventure. And you, my dear, need to rest a little. Your body and mind need rest for great battles. Helena felt tears roll again, but this time they were tears of relief and gratitude. The journey was long and uncertain, but she was no longer alone. Human connection, unexpected kindness were the true wealth A.V. had mentioned. With Donna Aurora by her side, hope was not just a word on the parchment, it was a living flame, warming her heart and lighting the way. She knew the following days would be filled with intense preparations, caring for her children and careful planning for the fair. A.V. and Marcos had planted the seed of hope, and now, with Donna Aurora's help, Helena was ready to reap its fruits. The days that followed were a whirlwind of preparations and small, silent miracles. Donna Aurora became a safe harbor, a constant presence that brought not only necessary sustenance, but also a human warmth that began to melt the ice in Helena's heart. Leo and Sophia, under the gentle and experienced care of the old woman, began to flourish. Their coughs subsided, the sparkle returned to their eyes, and laughter, once so rare and fragile, now frequently echoed through Donna Aurora's small, cozy house. Helena dedicated her mornings to caring for them, learning the neighbors' homemade remedies and nutritious recipes. And in the afternoons, back at the train car, she tried to make it a little more habitable, but mainly she pored over A.V.'s letter and Marcos's atlas. Donna Aurora insisted that Helena eat well. You need strength, my dear, she would say, squeezing Helena's hand affectionately, her eyes full of silent understanding. Helena, in turn, found herself sharing fears and hopes with the older woman, something she hadn't done with anyone since Marcos's passing. Donna Aurora listened patiently, offering encouragement and practical advice. She helped Helena mend the children's worn clothes, and even found some old pieces from her grandchildren that, with minor adjustments, fit Leo and Sophia perfectly. For Helena, Donna Aurora set aside a simple, dark-colored dress, modest and clean, ideal for the bustling fair. We can't draw attention, Donna Aurora warned as she sewed a button onto Leo's shirt, her gaze astute. There will be many people, many curious eyes. We need to be discreet. You're going to look for the phoenix symbol near the founder's statue, right? Helena nodded, her heart tight with a mix of tension and anticipation. Yes, the letter says the invention, the documents, and the treasure will be there. But how will I know exactly where? And how will I get them without anyone noticing? Donna Aurora stopped sewing, looking up at Helena with a serious and thoughtful expression. A.V. was a genius. He wouldn't leave something so valuable obviously exposed. There must be a mechanism, a secret, a way of access that only the initiated would understand. You'll need patience and very keen eyes. And the locket, my dear, it's the key. Don't forget its importance." Helena held the locket in her hand, feeling its comforting weight and the warmth it seemed to radiate. She practiced opening the secret compartment in the oak, imagining how the locket could be used at the fair. The days turned into a swift countdown. The fair was fast approaching, and with it, the intoxicating mix of anxiety and excitement. Leo and Sophia, now full of energy and childlike curiosity, spoke animatedly about the sweets and toys they hoped to see. Helena, in turn, felt the weight of responsibility increase with each dawn, but also an iron determination. She spent hours studying the city map, memorizing the location of the main square, the imposing founder's statue, and the old ornate fountain with the phoenix. Donna Aurora, noticing Helena's growing tension, suggested she take the children for a short walk to the square the day before the fair, just to familiarize herself with the location and relieve some of the pressure. "That way, you won't be so nervous on the decisive day," Donna Aurora explained with a gentle smile, "and the children will love seeing the hustle and bustle and the preparations for the festival." Helena thought the idea was excellent. It was a way to relieve pressure and at the same time do a discreet reconnaissance. That walk, with Leo and Sophia running ahead, their laughter filling the air with contagious joy, would be a constant reminder of why she was doing all this. It was for them, for a future where sickness and misery were just a distant memory. The night before the fair was one of very little sleep for Helena. She reviewed Avida's letter for the 100th time, each word indelibly etched in her mind. The locket hung around her neck, warmed by the heat of her skin, a talisman of hope. Donna Aurora, noticing her agitation, prepared a steaming chamomile tea. "Trust your intuition, my dear, and trust that Marcos and AV guided you here for a greater reason. Justice, it will come." Helena nodded, feeling Donna Aurora's warm, comforting hand on her shoulder. That night, under the roof of the little blue house, with her children sleeping peacefully nearby, Helena felt renewed strength and courage. Dawn would bring not only the fair, but the chance to rewrite her family's destiny. She was ready to face whatever came. The dawn of that long-awaited day brought with it a timid but promising sun, peeking through the clouds, promising to dispel the morning chill. Helena woke even before the first rays, her heart beating at an accelerated pace, a mix of nervousness and unwavering determination. AV's locket rested on her neck, a familiar and comforting weight. She rose in silence, watching Leo and Sophia sleeping soundly, their faces serene, which gave her the strength she needed. Donna Aurora was already up, preparing strong coffee and a nutritious breakfast. "Good morning, my dear. Ready for the big day?" The old woman's voice was a balm, and her smile a silent encouragement. Helena nodded, feeling a lump in her throat. Ready, Donna Aurora, and grateful for everything. After a quick breakfast, and dressed in the modest clothes Donna Aurora had prepared, Helena woke the children. Leo and Sophia, their health restored and full of energy, could barely contain their excitement. "Are we going to see the toys, Mummy?" Leo asked, his eyes sparkling. Sophia just smiled, clinging to Helena's hand. That childlike enthusiasm was the fuel Helena needed. Together, the three of them and Donna Aurora set off towards the main square. The city was already bustling with life. Colorful stalls lined the streets. The smell of cotton candy and popcorn mingled with the aroma of flowers and spices. Musicians played joyful melodies, and the square, once a place of routine, had transformed into a vibrant stage of celebration. Helena felt the pulse of the crowd, the contagious joy, but her eyes sought a specific point, the founder's statue and the Phoenix Fountain. Donna Aurora held Sophia's hand, while Leo ran a little ahead, marveling at the profusion of colors and sounds. "Leo, don't stray too far," Helena warned, her voice laden with an anxiety she tried to conceal. They finally reached the central square. There it was, imposing and majestic, the bronze statue of the city's founder, gazing at the horizon with an air of dignity. At its feet, the old fountain with its detailed sculptures. And, as A.V. had described, a phoenix with its wings spread seemed about to take flight from a stone pedestal. Helena felt a shiver. It was there. Her heart pounded, and she had to take a deep breath to stay calm. "Donna Aurora, I'm going to take the children to see the sweets. Stay here, near the fountain. I need a moment to observe." Donna Aurora nodded, understanding. "Go, my dear, but be discreet, and remember what A.V. said, the sun aligning with the moon at the highest point in the sky." Helena took Leo and Sophia to a nearby sweet stall, ensuring they were distracted and safe. From there, her eyes scanned the fountain and the statue, searching for the enigma. The sun was almost at its zenith, bathing the square with its golden light. The sun aligning with the moon. Suddenly, a ray of sunlight at the highest point in the sky fell directly onto the founder's statue. And there, at the base of the statue, the shadow of a small lunar crescent, cast by one of the fountain's ornamentations, aligned perfectly with a specific point at the base of the phoenix. It wasn't an eclipse, but a subtle dance of light and shadow, a poetic sundial. Helena felt a shock of recognition. That was it. With the locket in hand, she approached the fountain, pretending to admire the phoenix sculpture. Her fingers traced the stone, searching for the exact point where the moon's shadow met the phoenix. A.V. had spoken of the locket as the key. At the meeting point of light and shadow, there was a small, almost imperceptible indentation. Helena, with a trembling hand, inserted the locket into the slot. A soft click, muffled by the fair's buzz, echoed. A small stone plate at the base of the phoenix rotated, revealing a dark compartment. Inside, wrapped in an ancient silk fabric, were the detailed designs of A.V.'s invention, complex diagrams, and annotations. Beside them, a pile of yellowed documents, contracts, bank statements, and letters that proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the vast fortune that had been stolen and Mr. Almeida's fraud scheme. And finally, a small wooden strongbox, studded with semi-precious stones, which Helena somehow knew contained the final proof. A wave of relief and triumph washed over Helena, mixed with a pang of anger for the injustice suffered. She quickly grabbed the documents and designs, tucking them under her clothes, her heart pounding. That was the legacy, the justice, the hope for her children's future. A.V. and Marcos had fulfilled their promise. Helena felt her heart race, a mix of euphoria and dread. With one last furtive glance at Leo and Sophia, who were still delighting in the sweets, she reached for the small wooden strongbox. It was surprisingly light, but its symbolism was immense. Carefully, she hid it along with the documents and designs under her clothes, feeling the discreet bulk against her skin. The secret compartment, now empty, was closed with another soft click, and the stone plate rotated back into place, as if it had never been touched. No one in the crowd seemed to have noticed her brief, yet monumental, action. Still breathless, Helena composed herself, forcing a smile for the children. "Come on, my loves, we've seen the sweets. Now it's time to find Donna Aurora." She took Leo's hand, while Sophia nestled against her hip. Her steps were firm, but her mind was buzzing with the magnitude of what she had just acquired. As she approached Donna Aurora, who was watching her with an expression of anxiety and hope, Helena gave an almost imperceptible nod. The old woman understood. "Did you find what you were looking for, my dear?" Donna Aurora asked, her voice low and full of expectation. Helena simply nodded, a gleam of triumph and relief in her moist eyes. The walk back to the little blue house was a blur. The children's laughter, once a balm, now seemed distant, muffled by Helena's whirlwind of thoughts. As soon as they entered, and Leo and Sophia were distracted with some old toys Donna Aurora kept, Helena collapsed into a chair, pulling the precious documents and the wooden strongbox from under her clothes. Donna Aurora, wide-eyed, watched the scene. "What is this, my dear?" she whispered, her voice choked. Helena opened the strongbox. Inside lay a sealed parchment and a small leather-bound diary. "The final proof, Donna Aurora," Helena said, her voice choked with emotion. A.V.'s diary, detailing every step of Mr. Almeida's fraud, and this parchment is A.V.'s original will, naming Marcos as his heir and revealing the location of all his stolen assets. Donna Aurora took the diary with trembling hands, leafing through the yellowed pages. Poor Marcos. He didn't know what he had in his hands, but now you know. And justice will come. "Yes, it will," Helena affirmed, an iron determination in her voice. "We need a lawyer, one who is honest and courageous." Donna Aurora thought for a moment. "I know a man, Dr. Elias. He's a retired lawyer, but he was always known for his integrity. He lives in the neighboring village. I can go with you tomorrow if the children are well." Helena felt immense relief. "That would be a blessing, Donna Aurora." The next day, with Leo and Sophia under Donna Aurora's care, Helena and the old woman took a bus to the neighboring village. Dr. Elias, a man with white hair and piercing eyes, listened to Helena's story with increasing gravity. He meticulously examined A.V.'s documents, designs, and diary. With each page, his expression shifted from skepticism to shock and finally to silent indignation. This is a mountain of evidence, my dear. Mr. Almeida will have nowhere to run. Not only the stolen fortune, but the invention. That is priceless. Justice will be done, Helena. I guarantee it." Dr. Elias's words were like a balm to Helena's soul. The resolution, which seemed a distant dream, now materialized before her. Dr. Elias acted quickly, in contacting the authorities and initiating legal proceedings. Within days, news of Mr. Almeida's fraud and the discovery of A.V. as legacy began to spread like wildfire. Mr. Almeida's empire, built on lies and theft, began to crumble. He was confronted with irrefutable evidence, and his arrogance dissolved into despair. Helena, Leo, and Sophia no longer needed the train car. A.V. His fortune was recovered, and the invention, a project that promised to revolutionize clean energy, attracted the interest of serious and ethical investors. Marcos's memory was restored, his name cleared, and his role in the discovery recognized. Helena felt the weight of misery and injustice dissipate, replaced by a lightness and peace she hadn't known in a long time. Her children would have a dignified, secure future, full of opportunities. True wealth, she realized, was not just money, but dignity, justice, and the human connection that pulled her from the darkness. The weight of the world, which once crushed Helena's shoulders, had transformed into an almost ethereal lightness. The days of anguish and uncertainty were now distant memories, like a nightmare from which one awoke to a radiant sun. Justice, so arduously sought, had arrived, and with it a deep peace that nestled in her heart. She and her children did not live in a mansion, but in a small, cozy house with a blooming garden where Leo and Sophia could play freely under Helena's watchful eye. The walls, once cold and damp in the train car, were replaced by light colors and windows that let the sun in, warming every corner. Leo, now with a rosy face and eyes full of vivacity, spent hours drawing on the living room floor, no longer with charcoal, but with colored pencils, imagining fantastic worlds. Sophia, strong and healthy, ran through the garden, her laughter echoing like wind chimes. Sickness and hunger were just stories, Helena told, as a reminder of the path they had traveled. Marcos, her beloved Marcos, had his name cleared and his memory honored. AV's invention, with the detailed designs Helena had recovered, was now in development by an ethical and visionary company. Marcos's name was associated with the project, and his publicly recognized contribution brought immense pride to Helena. He had not died in vain. His legacy would live on, transforming the world for the better. Mr. Almeida, in turn, watched his empire crumble. The truth about his frauds and cruelty came to light, exposed by AV's documents and diary. He was not imprisoned, but public shame and the loss of his fortune and reputation were a more severe punishment than any cell. He became a pariah, his arrogance replaced by bitter solitude. Helena, upon learning of his fate, felt not joy, but a quietness. Justice was not vengeance, but the restoration of truth. Donna Aurora continued to be a constant and loving presence in Helena's and the children's lives. Her little blue house, once a refuge of despair, became a home of celebration. She visited Helena frequently, bringing homemade cakes and amusing stories, and her kind eyes always found a way to convey affection and wisdom. The connection between them, forged in adversity, was an unbreakable bond, a testament to the power of altruism and friendship. The old train car, the improbable home, flourished as the Marcos and AV Community Library. Children from the region came daily to read, learn, and dream among its shelves filled with books. Helena dedicated part of her time to the library, telling stories to the little ones, her eyes shining with the same hope that once guided her. The secret compartment, with the plaque honoring the two men who changed her destiny, was a constant reminder that knowledge and truth were the greatest fortunes. AV's invention, successfully developed, began to transform communities, bringing clean and accessible energy to remote places, fulfilling the vision of a better future. Marcos's name was always mentioned, honored as an essential part of that legacy. Helena, at the end of each day before falling asleep, mentally revisited her journey. The cold, the hunger, the despair, everything had transformed into a story of overcoming adversity that she would tell her children, not to frighten them, but to teach them the value of courage, faith, and the invaluable help found in generous hearts. She had proven that dignity could not be stolen, that justice, however slow, would always find its way, and that a mother's love was the most powerful force in the universe. Mr. Almeida, forgotten and irrelevant, was just a distant shadow, a reminder of what greed could destroy and what goodness could rebuild. Helena's life was now a living testament that, even in the deepest ruins, hope could sprout, and that true wealth lay in human connections, integrity, and the ability to transform adversity into a beacon of light for herself and for others. She closed her eyes, a soft smile on her lips, feeling the warmth of her children sleeping in the next room, and Marcos's loving presence in her heart. Tomorrow was a promise, and Helena was ready to live it one day at a time, with gratitude and the certainty that she had found her place in the world, a place of peace, purpose, and unconditional love. Helena, Leo, and Sophia, hand in hand, walked towards a tomorrow where the sunlight shone without shadows, and hope was the guide for each new day. Years passed, weaving a tapestry of happy memories upon the solid foundation Helena had built with so much sacrifice and love. Leo, now a sharp and curious boy, dedicated himself to his studies with the same fervor with which he drew imaginary worlds, dreaming of becoming an inventor like AV, or perhaps an architect to build safe and beautiful homes for everyone. Sophia, a sweet and lively girl, radiated joy, her contagious laughter filling the house with a constant melody. She loved helping Helena in the garden, planting flowers and tending to the small vegetables, learning the value of care and patience. The house, modest but full of warmth, was a refuge of peace. The windows, once icy cracks in the train car, now framed views of a vibrant garden where butterflies danced and the scent of roses mingled with the smell of wet earth. Helena, sitting on the porch, watched her children play, her heart overflowing with silent gratitude. The scars of the past still existed, but they had transformed into marks of strength, reminders of her unwavering resilience. She had learned that true wealth was not measured in possessions, but in the ability to love, to rise again, and to find beauty in the simplicity of life. Donna Aurora, her hair even more silver, continued to be the loving grandmother life had gifted them. Her visits were always eagerly awaited, bringing with them the wisdom of years and the warmth of her embrace. She and Helena spent hours talking in the kitchen, sharing herbal teas and laughter, strengthening a bond that time and trials had made indestructible. Donna Aurora's little blue house, once a safe haven, was now a symbol of the human kindness that had illuminated Helena's path in her darkest moments. The old train car, the improbable home, flourished as the Marcos and AV Community Library. Children from the region came daily to read, learn, and dream among its shelves filled with books. Helena dedicated part of her time to the library, telling stories to the little ones, her eyes shining with the same hope that once guided her. The secret compartment, with the plaque honoring the two men who changed her destiny, was a constant reminder that knowledge and truth were the greatest fortunes. AV's invention, successfully developed, began to transform communities, bringing clean and accessible energy to remote places, fulfilling the vision of a better future. Marcos's name was always mentioned, honored as an essential part of that legacy. Helena, at the end of each day, before falling asleep, mentally revisited her journey. The cold, the hunger, the despair. Everything had transformed into a story of overcoming adversity that she would tell her children, not to frighten them, but to teach them the value of courage, faith, and the invaluable help found in generous hearts. She had proven that dignity could not be stolen, that justice, however slow, would always find its way, and that a mother's love was the most powerful force in the universe. Mr. Almeida, forgotten and irrelevant, was just a distant shadow, a reminder of what greed could destroy and what goodness could rebuild. Helena's life was now a living testament that even in the deepest ruins, hope could sprout, and that true wealth lay in human connections, integrity, and the ability to transform adversity into a beacon of light for herself and for others. She closed her eyes, a soft smile on her lips, feeling the warmth of her children sleeping in the next room and Marcos's loving presence in her heart. Tomorrow was a promise, and Helena was ready to live it, one day at a time, with gratitude and the certainty that she had found her place in the world, a place of peace, purpose, and unconditional love.